Canes country. Also, Tar Heel blog. I don't know how much Tar Heels we're going to talk about, but we'll see what we have time for. I saw you. First of all, it was good to actually meet you in person at the game on Wednesday night. So let's get into like I called it a scouting mission for fans tonight. If you want to watch on at Hurricanes.com, who are you interested in seeing tonight?
I think of the current stars, I try to kind of keep my focus on the people who are really going to be on the roster, who are going to be on the roster long term. So I find it interesting that Kotkaniemi
Yeah.
is going to be is getting an option to play again. I think that if you kind of look at it objectively on Wednesday night, arguably his line with Nadeau and Svechnikov was the best
Yep.
of the ones that came out. They even answered with the goal. It was really good to see him. It was good to see Vondre like diving for the puck, digging a puck out, working for it in preseason, getting the good feed to the wide open KK, and KK just not even hesitating to put a shot on the net. Um, yeah, it's preseason, but that little stuff like that matters, especially when your center depth is thin and there's a lot of talk about who's going to be centering those lines. And we're once again hoping that maybe he can be the third line. He could be not the third, sorry, the second line center. If that chemistry, if they're building chemistry and if that actually does work and it actually they can actually build something there. Um, then maybe it gives us some hope. So I'm looking to see what he does. Obviously, he's going to have different line mates tonight, but I'm curious to see if he's going to carry that momentum on. I like the fact that Rod is putting him out there
Yep.
again to kind of continue that on. It feels like that's kind of a vote of confidence in a lot of ways, knowing the lineup he's going to be going against and what he's going to have to carry.
Yes. Kotkaniemi will be Carolina's 1C tonight, and he will deal with Braden Point, Jake Gensel, and Nikita Kucherov for Tampa. Now, I don't think we're going to see their trio play more than 17 or so minutes because it is a preseason game. But
Right.
Kotkaniemi is probably going to see them maybe not. Because they'll control the matchup. So maybe he won't get that. But Tampa's dressing about 60-70% of an NHL lineup tonight. Al Hood, Canes Country, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Just to continue the point about Kotkaniemi, because this was my focus on Wednesday. If I'm putting yourself in the skates of KK, knowing that they're experimenting with Logan Stankoven at center, knowing that Aho and Staal aren't going anywhere. I mean, KK would play over Mark Jankowski, at least at the beginning of the season. After that, who knows what happens. So if you're KK, you're looking at Stankoven, who has not played center in the NHL until Monday. He's not in the lineup tonight. I would imagine Stankoven will be in the lineup Sunday. And you have to think that's my spot. I want that spot. So in many ways, this is a challenge to him. And I look at, because I think he's going to play maybe 4 preseason games.
Yeah.
Right? If he's playing tonight, I have to think if he doesn't play Sunday, he's going to play Monday and Saturday, the last 2 on the road. And This is his opportunity to show what he can do. I thought he was a very good player on Wednesday night, but even that, I think there's another level for him to get to.
Well, totally. And it's what Canes fans have been waiting for ever since he signed the contract. And it's the whole reason why there's the discussion about what are they going to do at center. You don't talk about Stankoven even potentially centering a line if he had achieved the level that you needed him to achieve. Looking at kind of peeking at Ryan Hinkle, he's got what the green group lines were at practice. He is putting Nadeau on KK's wing as well. So that's going to be interesting as well too, because it seems that these two are speaking of someone else who's being given every opportunity to show out. I think everybody's kind of interested to see where Nadeau's going to go on this. So playing as the top line, does Nadeau's improvement continue? Are they building chemistry? Is the fact that Kotkaniemi is actually helping him out and improving, and it kind of builds the confidence on that end. And so it's like, it's the preseason. You don't want to read too much into some of this stuff because the lines and the lineups are so different.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, you just kind of nailed it. Like you can use KK has a spot, but the question is, what spot is it?
Right.
And are we potentially auditioning him to where maybe he can be a piece and a move somewhere along the way as well? By the way, I've always been a person who said that, yeah, maybe he's not playing up to the contract that he signed, but we're starting to see it with the way the salary cap is exploding. The number is basically coming into place with about his level.
Right.
So
pretty close.
It's pretty close to me. It's still worth the investment. I was really happy to see what I saw with him, Svetch, and Nadeau on Wednesday night. And I'm glad that at least Nadeau and KK are being paired together again tonight. I think that's a sign of, hey, at least this worked. Let's see if we can continue it.
Al Hood, Canes Country, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show at Al B. Hood on Twitter. Real quick about Nadeau, who I thought really struggled on Monday, needed a mulligan, got a mulligan, and then birdied the hole, to use a golf term since I'm locked on the Ryder Cup right now. So he went from one down to all square after the second game. To me, he was the first star. For me, I thought he was consistently throughout the game making positive plays. He looked like he either somewhere between Monday and Wednesday gained confidence because he played the game completely differently. And maybe it's just who he was playing with. He was playing with younger guys on Monday, but playing with Andre and Kotkaniemi, a completely different player. I loved everything about Nadeau. Look, I don't believe he's going to make the team. I don't think he's going to be on the opening night team sheet, but I do think that what he does here leads to him being an early call-up if they need somebody, and I think that is important. Let me ask you, before we move on to something a little heavier, I've already talked about it, Alexander Nishian will play tonight, and I thought he was good. I didn't think he was great in game one. I think we have a tendency to want more, to think more of him, and the same thing with Charles Alexis Legault, who I thought was good in the two games that he's played, but not great. And I think Legault needs to be a little bit better if he's going to force his way into everybody's considerations, because I don't think anybody on the defense is hurt too much that they're not going to be playing opening night. But what were your thoughts on Nikishin?
Pretty similar to you. He gave probably the highlight of the preseason with the hit.
Oh, God,
like on Monday night. That was, you see what fans are getting excited about just with that level of intensity he brought to the first preseason game. Now the question is, how much of that was, it's the first preseason game, we're working some of the kinks out, not to mention the fact you're inside a building that's not necessarily juiced. It would have been interesting to see him play on Wednesday night inside of a full barn, but you also understand all the decisions that are made. I do think fans are going to have to. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs last year. We do have, and I think Rod has talked about Nikishin some. Like, he still is saying it's going to be a while before he's fully adapted to how the Canes type of play. Yes, he's got a lot of skills. Yes, he has a lot of professional experience overseas, but there are still so many intricacies that go with playing with these players the way Rod wants to play it. And I think he's right to be that demanding of him. I think it speaks highly for the potential that he is as a player, to where you continue to be demanding. And, again, he has to work on, but the fact that he lowered that boom the way that he did, it shows that he is wanting to work and he is improved. So, and I think it's looking more and more like, as Slavin's actually been getting out there with the group.
He
It
didn't
looks
skate this morning, Jacob.
right, but he did play. He did skate
Yep.
yesterday. I think when he was paired, he wasn't paired with Nikishin, so I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's going to be expected to carry a first line defender role to start. So I think he's going to be able to he's still going to be able to ease into things. And when you're looking at the matchups of the people that he's going to ultimately be expected to go against, I think it's going to help him grow into his game a lot faster as well.
Yeah, we're still, almost 2 weeks from opening night. The 9th against the Devils is the target. I doubt Jacob Slavin plays a preseason game. I think the same about Jalen Chatfield, who hasn't skated in a couple of days. I think the same about Keandre Miller. I don't think we're going to see any of them in a preseason game. All right. You wrote for Canes Country, Al Hood, that signing Hart and McLeod is not worth essentially the PR angst that they're going to get. So I'll let you go from there. I know you wrote about it at Canes Country.
So I appreciate it. I know you talked. I heard your segment before, and since I wrote that piece, the reporting has kind of confirmed what you were saying about Hart. That it looks like he's going west. It looks like Vegas is going to be the leader. So we'll focus more on McLeod than anything. I think it just boils down to set aside. You can't set aside what got them in this situation in the first place. It is a factor in the decision, but you can talk about why it isn't worth signing them because of the situation. It's two separate discussions about whether or not they should be allowed to continue their career and about what you're doing to a fan base that you are essentially you've managed to successfully rebuild from the dark years that went for a long time. You're asking state and local government to go up and pony up money for rebuilds. You're asking ever increasing prices for tickets, for concessions, for parking. You're asking more of fans of these folks that you've brought in. You're asking big companies to sink several tens, if not hundreds of $1,000s for these floor level underground bunkers that are still under construction. Why go through the work that you'd have to do PR wise to explain why you're giving a guy like this a chance who will trigger fans? And he does. Just the mere discussion of what it is. You can set the facts aside. You've mentioned that you can talk about the facts of the case and everything, and that is a separate discussion. But the fact is that just talking about it, just bringing it up, is triggering for a significant portion of the fan base, and stuff like that spreads, and you're having to spend time dealing with it on the PR side. You're having to spend time dealing with it on the other side. And it's not like it's Patrick Kane or Evander Kane that you're signing. You would be signing someone who at best would be a fourth line center that most likely isn't going to play immediately because he hasn't played in the NHL in 2 years. Yes,
he's not eligible to play until December 1.
Right.
Not even eligible to play. Right.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to put him in Chicago, and you're gonna have to have your minor league affiliate deal with it to some extent. And then if he does make it up to the big club, anytime that you go up to Canada, you're going to have to deal with the Canadian press about this because this is a huge story. It still continues to be a huge story up there. We already see how teams have reacted. You alluded to Mark Lazarus's piece and the fact that the Canes gave some quotes. I give them credit, by the way, for the way they treated Lazarus and giving them quotes. I think that should be said because
Lazarus spoke to Jordan Staal, right? He spoke to Staal. He spoke to Rod Brind'amour. The team had no problem with him being there, unlike Vegas, which kicked him out.
They kicked him out and said he ambushed the players, which I'm sure
Former
he did.
Noah Hannafin.
Yeah, and it was, I give them credit for doing that, but like that, you're going to have to deal with that on a massive scale. And we already dealt with the distractions of the Mikko Rantanen deal, and that was just a player who ultimately kind of didn't want to be here.
Right.
So, like, why put yourself through all of that for someone who is arguably at the same level, if not below KK, is kind of where my point is.
We are unfortunately going to have to wrap it up. I just want, real quick, I think more of the player than you do, which is fair, by the way. I think he profiles more as a third, not a fourth, although Jordan Staal is the third center, so that therein lies a little bit of an issue. But I think there's a lot of upside for him that maybe other people don't. But the only thing I will quarrel with is that in this particular case, I think setting facts aside doesn't do anybody justice. I think, well, I'm not going to sit here and list off the reasons I'm okay with these guys coming back into the league. Because to me, they're either criminals who should be in jail, or and we're not talking about a jury here. We are talking about a judge.
Right.
Whether it matters that she's female or not, I don't know. But we're talking about a judge who had some pretty interesting things to say about EM. And if we include the facts here, and I'm not telling people they have to, but if you include the facts, I think we think a little bit differently about this situation, and that's where I have gotten to on this case. I agree with your overall point. We do have to go. I agree with your overall point that in this case, it might not be worth everything that will happen as a result of this. But like, if this was a better player, it'd be a no-brainer. It'd be a no-brainer. Now it definitely bears a lot of consideration. I think the team has thought this through. They know what they're doing. So we'll see. Al Hood, hopefully I'll see you maybe Sunday.
I won't be there Sunday, but it looks like I'll be there for opening night.
All right, then I'll see you on the 9th. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Al Hood, Canes Country.